that's why if I look at this process, whether I'm dieting or I'm not, but if I look at whatever phase I'm in as this sucks, this is lots of suffering, this is very hard, this is super uncomfortable, I can hardly wait till it's over. Once it's done, I'll be happy. I think that we're gonna die one day, man. It's like that's not a place you want to be for a long time. I must suffer through this diet until I'm later, and then I'll be happy. This is something that I think a lot of people think, maybe even just subconsciously, but it comes from this idea of wanting it comes from this perspective of seeing the diet as a means to an end, which it kind of is to an extent, right? But I think it's very short-sighted. And I'm going to explain just a bit about how to kind of combat that in a healthy way, in an actionable way, a way that is within your control, stuff you can actually do. Especially if you're someone that can relate to this, where you're like, that's how I feel. It's like I do a diet and I'm like, I just have to suffer. I just have to restrict and hate this and suffer, and I can hardly wait till it's done. And when it's done, I'm back to like enjoying life, and then I'll be happy, you know? And, you know, to some extent, there's some truth there where it's like, you're going to have to sacrifice. You're going to have to be uncomfortable. You're going to have to make some changes that are hard, and you wouldn't normally have had to make those in order to see the change that you want, in order to lose body weight. So this is, you know, you could probably apply this to any endeavor, like not just any fitness goal that takes time, but any endeavor and any goal that you're working towards that does take time, and it takes sacrifice. And there is a level of suffering. There is a level of sacrifice that you have to take. But if you're looking at it through that prism, through that lens, that is like, it is suffering, it is hard, it is restrictive, and it sucks, then that's going to kind of just cast a negative shadow on the whole process. It doesn't really sound fun. Not that this is meant to be fun, but there should be parts of the process that are enjoyable, because if it's not enjoyable and you're not addicted to it and you don't look at it through an optimistic lens, then you're probably just going to revert back to old habits once you do achieve this goal, even if you last long enough, because if you look at it through this negative lens, you probably risk the chance of not even staying consistent long enough to see the result. But even if you do see the result, you get there, and then you're going to be, you know, just elated that the suffering is over, and then you probably just going to slingshot right back into old habits, regain all the body weight, erase all of the progress that you made, and then end up where you were at the start, completely wasting the time, effort, money that you just spent. And that doesn't sound like a good time to me, you know? So this, like I said, this perspective comes from, I think, a place where people are looking at the diet as a means to an end. And like I said, that is true to an extent. But if we're only looking at it as a means to an end, it means that we're not taking into consideration the larger goal. The diet phase is a piece of a much larger puzzle of a bigger transformation. That's important to understand. It's not like I'm committing to losing weight, I'm losing weight, and then I'm done my transformation. Awesome, back to life. That is way too short-sighted. We should be looking at it like losing weight is the beginning of a much larger, not just physical transformation, but a much larger identity transformation that is happening over months and years, decades, literally for the rest of your life. Much like me. It's like I am committed to improving myself, never achieving true mastery or perfection, but continually pushing myself to be better and being patient enough to do that literally until I die. God willing, that will be decades from now. So that is a long road. But that's why if I look at this process, whether I'm dieting or I'm not, but if I look at whatever phase I'm in as this sucks, this is lots of suffering, this is very hard, this is super uncomfortable, I can hardly wait till it's over. Once it's done, I'll be happy. I think that we're gonna die one day, man. It's like that's not a place you want to be for a long time. You're gonna want to change your perspective on that. And like I said, not just so that you can actually sustain these changes that you make in the larger transformation that you're hoping to make, but also so that you can actually just be consistent. You can increase your chances of actual success so that you can stick with the plan long enough to see the outcome that you want. Um, when I was thinking about this and putting this kind of episode together, um, I was thinking about people that are the opposite of this. And I was thinking about examples of like some of my clients that embody this type of approach. And maybe they didn't always. So they may have thought like how I'm describing here, but then they were open-minded to changing their perspectives on this, which I appreciate. And I'm able to coach them through that and help them get to a point where they have those light bulb moments where it's like, man, this is easier. This is simpler. This is sustainable. This is a lifestyle I could practice forever. It doesn't feel harder the longer they do it. It's getting easier the longer they do it. That's a good deal. And I was thinking about those clients, like what's special about them? Not as humans, but like what are the actions that they do? Like what's special about them as far as like the behaviors that they have, the perspectives that they choose to take, the decisions and choices that they prioritize within their daily lives regularly? Like what are those things? Because most or all of those things, like we could do that. You listening to this, watching this, and myself, anybody could just copy that and be like, cool, if that's going to help me change my perspective on this, because this is a hard perspective to choose to take. And I'd love to not be feeling like I'm, under this gray cloud of sacrifice and suffering, just waiting for it to end. Then, you can look at some of the things that these people do and be like, cool, I'm going to commit to emulating that. Not being perfect with that, but working towards those things. If we know what those things are, then we can actually work towards them. So I'm going to go through that here. So first one, what are some of the things that my clients that embody this type of behavior, as far as like the people that enjoy the process, they're committed to the process, and they understand the larger goal. They understand the larger picture. They understand that the weight loss is not the goal. The weight loss is a piece of a puzzle in a larger goal, a larger identity transformation. What are some of the things that they do? First one, they shrug off boring or bad weeks because they know it's expected. So what I mean is like when they shrug off, they don't put too much weight into it. They understand that it's not, if things don't go well, or if they even make decisions that don't align with their goals and they're like, yeah, I kind of made a poor decision there. That's not ideal. Whoops. They shrug it off. They realize that is not a reflection of them as a human. They're not a bad human because of that. There's no moral assignment or association to these decisions. They just observe this within themselves objectively, and they don't look at it as a reflection of like them as a person. They're able to shrug it off and be like, well, can't control that. Already happened. Cool. Learn from it, assess it quickly, be honest about it, and then move on. And that is very, very helpful, because if we get stuck in that cycle, you can't get past it. And if you can't get past it, you won't be able to move forward. So this is a huge one. Being able to shrug off boring or bad weeks, particularly because it's expected and they're going to happen. So you learning how to deal with that is going to be crucial, instead of hoping that they never happen. Just expect that boring and bad weeks are going to happen. Second one, these people look long-term. So they understand the bigger picture, which I was talking about like before. They look at the bigger picture, they accept the bigger picture, and they understand that their patience will be rewarded soon, but also it'll be rewarded a long time from now. All of the deposits and investments that they're making now into their body, into their health, into their fitness will be reflected down the road. They're not in a rush to see this happen now. They're not in a rush to see results now. They are able to delay instant gratification and understand that if they stay consistent in the short term, they will be rewarded in the long term. One of the mantras that I like to recommend to clients, if they do get, and myself, well, if they do get too sucked into the day to day where things aren't going well for a few days or even a few weeks, understand that that is short term. But one of the mantras that can help you reconsider the bigger picture is when in doubt, zoom out. And this is just like something that you can kind of remember when you do catch yourself, hyper focusing on scale weight that isn't moving the way you want. You're in a little mini weight loss plateau. There's a ton of curveballs that life's thrown at you, like sick kids, or you're getting sick, or work stress, or marital stress, or other life stress, or you're not sleeping well, digestion's not good, other health issues, or whatever it may be. And if you can just slow down, check back in with yourself and be like, okay, these are going to happen. I already expected these. Need to remember that this is a bigger picture here. So I'm definitely feeling doubtful. So when in doubt, zoom out and you can take in the bigger picture and then you don't feel as rushed. You can remind yourself that the patience in those moments are crucial to stay on track because it'll always end. It's always temporary. You'll come out of it and you'll have another banger week coming down the pipe. The next one here. They choose to focus on the wins along the way, even if they're slow or small. This is a hard one for people that are perfectionists, hypercritical, overthinkers, obsessive, high achievers, or people that typically take a negative approach to their own performance. And they're always, I guess goes back to what I was saying with just being reiterating like hypercritical. So if they're hypercritical of themselves, they'll often focus more on where they're failing as opposed to celebrating their wins. And this is especially hard if their wins are slow, they're taking a while to reflect, or if they're small wins and they don't seem like much. But they all matter. They all matter because they all compound and they all stack on top of each other over time. And if we consider the bigger picture, slower small wins are big wins a year from now. They're big wins 5 years from now. They're big wins a decade or two from now. So that does take effort. So choosing to focus on those wins does take effort, and it takes more effort if you're not used to doing that. But that is something that's worth committing to and getting better at. Next one. They look at a diet phase, a weight loss phase, as one brick in the wall of a house that will take decades to build. So these are all kind of like overlapping a bit on each other. But this is an important one. It kind of is a different way to say that basically the weight loss phase is a piece of a puzzle in a larger game, the larger thing that we're trying to achieve. And it takes a long time. A larger identity transformation, not just a body transformation. It takes time, and it takes a lot of time, but it is worth it. And it's way easier to stay consistent and stay the course with a long time horizon that feels like forever when you actually enjoy it. And it's easier to enjoy it when you're able to look at your specific goals along the way as just little pieces, little bricks in the wall of this house that you're going to build, So if you're trying to rush, it's, you're going to rush. If you use the analogy of a house, like you can rush the framing, you can rush putting the windows in, you can rush putting the plumbing in, you can rush putting the electrical in, try and get the furniture in, and then, all right, we got to move in. But you may have made mistakes along the way. You may not be actually relaxed once you get there. You'll probably be pretty stressed out. And, you certainly won't be enjoying that process. So if you can kind of slow down and understand that this is just a piece in the larger thing that I'm changing, and understand that a house doesn't get built in 7 days, and neither does a body, then it's easier to take this perspective. And that requires patience. And that patience for some people will take more effort than others, and that's fine. But if you can recognize this in yourself, then that effort will be rewarded, and it's so worth it. The last one here. They understand happiness doesn't come from being a certain body weight. So this is kind of a heavier one because I think especially as, myself as a fitness coach, selling coaching. A lot of people in my position would sell losing weight as probably a source of happiness. Lose weight and you'll be happier. I would disagree with that, but I would also be honest in the sense of if you lose weight, it's not the weight loss itself that enhances life, because it truly does. Everything in life gets better. Everything. But it's the behaviors and the choices and the process that got you there, the journey that got you there. That's what actually, I think, results in, you want to use the word happiness, but you will find peace, you'll find confidence, you'll find joy in, other various behaviors. And I think all of those things, they don't come from a number on the scale. They don't come from, fitting into a certain gene size, but all of those choices and decisions that lead to that smaller gene size, that lower number on the scale, that's where the magic is. It's not the number itself. And I think that's important because very easy to hyperfixate on like the scale and, am I making progress? If I just get leaner, if I just get skinnier, if I just get smaller. But it's not going to happen, because this is the thing. If it did happen, then, especially like you think about the specific example here, it's like if happiness did come from a certain body weight, why don't you just cut off a limb? Obviously that's extreme, but I'm just using it for the example here. It's like, why don't you just cut off a limb, or why don't you just starve yourself? Just don't eat for a month. Just fast for a month. It's like, if you were going to get the outcome that you really wanted from just being lighter, you could just take really extreme methods of getting there. But it literally doesn't work 100% of the time. And it doesn't work because you're skipping the work that it takes to get there. The work is the fulfilling part. The choices, the changes, the decisions, the mindset shifts, the identity transformation, all of that stuff that happens through the journey of getting the weight loss, getting the weight off. That's where the magic sauce is. And that's where the enhancement of other areas of life actually come from. Not directly from being a lighter body weight or fitting into a smaller pant size. That's not where it comes from. So all of these together, I think, are really important to understand. And they are, the best thing about it is these are all things that my clients are working towards. And some of them are farther along this journey than others, but they're all moving towards this. And I appreciate that. I don't think, I wouldn't compare people. I know people will compare themselves, but everyone's on a different journey with this. Some people are farther along, some people are earlier. That's fine. You're on your own journey. But the best thing about these is no matter where other people are, no matter where you are, you're in a certain spot on this journey. You may be at the start. You may feel like you're way behind. You may be farther ahead, whatever. But regardless, you can do these things. You can commit to being better at these, 5 different things. You can look at the process differently. You can look at your transformation differently. You can look at your journey to changing yourself, changing your identity completely differently. And you can copy these. You can copy these things. You can commit to doing these things. And it's 1,000% worth it. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode. Hopefully you found value in this episode. Hopefully this helped. I would love to hear from you in the comments below. Which one of these resonated with you the most? And if you have any questions on this, feel free to DM me on Instagram at I am Tim Walcott. Feel free to DM the show and I'll answer you there as well at Stay Peaked. And make sure to like this video. Make sure to subscribe to the channel because we have episodes coming out every single week. We got vlogs every month and we got lots more planned for you as well. So make sure you subscribe so you can see all the goodies we got on the channel. Hope to see you again next week. Thanks for listening.